Yeah. Lovely. Morning, everybody. My name is Councillor Jerry Pearce. I'm Cabinet Member for Streetpride, Leisure and Public Spaces. And today we have a Cabinet Member meeting. We've got three items on the agenda. So we'll start firstly with any apologies, Don?
No apologies.
Thank you. No late items to be introduced that I can see. Declarations of interest from anybody? I'll take that as a no. So we'll start with item 4. I think they're doing that. Doug, if you want to introduce yourself and then you do a brief.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I'm Doug Portman. I'm the Head of Service in the Public Protection Department. And this morning I'm going to just give a brief summary of the Cabinet Member report for the provision of toilets in commercial premises. At the moment, there's a number of various pieces of legislation in place around health and safety and building regulations in terms of the provision of toilet facilities. However, it's British standards that provide the guidance as to the number and types of installation. The local authority has provisions of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act, which allow us to determine the provision of toilet facilities in certain circumstances. However, the legislation is over 40 years old, and there's a lot of associated legislation and guidance which sometimes can be conflicting and confusing. So, for example, toilet provision in takeaways that provide some seating area outside. And just recently, press coverage around the decision in Kingston upon Hull City Council versus Secretary of State for Business Innovation and Skills prompted a review of Derby City Council's policy. And the outcome of that case means that where premises provide food and drink and seating for more than 10 people or 10 covers, then toilet provision must be provided to the public. We've had several policies dating back to 2005 on this particular matter. We reviewed this in our existing policy in 2019, but due to work priorities given priority as a result of the COVID pandemic, we've delayed in seeking approval for this policy. The policy would provide a framework for officers and relevant council departments to offer advice and assistance at both new and existing premises, and this in turn will raise standards for the public. We've carried out public stakeholder engagement with Derbyshire authorities and unitary authorities for consistency purposes, and the Derby City Council Access Hub have also been consulted, and an equality impact assessment has been carried out. Businesses have been advised and about proposed changes which we'd like to come into effect on the 1st of January 2023 following approval, and existing premises will not be expected to upgrade unless significant alterations are being made, and any new premises conversions will be expected to fully comply with the policy. So, Chair, the recommendation is the authority to implement the revised policy for the regulation of toilet provision in commercial premises within the city with an effective date of the 1st of January 2023.
That's great. Thank you, Chair. I've just got a couple of questions. I know you briefly said about existing premises. Can you just ask about that? What is the criteria for existing premises having toilets in them?
I guess, Jerry, some of the existing Chair is that some of the takeaway premises where they've had seating outside, where provision hasn't been made, and unless they have any substantial alterations, will be encouraged them to have toilet provision in their premises. However, pragmatically, the city centre is made up of old buildings and some buildings that cannot be altered as a result. However, we'll be encouraging businesses to signpost people to places where they can use toilet facilities. Right.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Doug, for that report. I've got the full report here, which I did go through, and yeah, I'll pass the recommendation, approve the recommendation. Thank you. Thank you for that, Doug. I think you can take a breather now. We go on to Sheena, if you'd like to introduce yourself and go on to item 5, bereavement services, fees and charges, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Sheena Ratcliffe. I'm a bereavement service manager for Derby City Council. I'm bringing to the Cabinet today the fees and charges for bereavement service provision to be introduced in January 2023. We always increase our charges in January to be in line with local and national bereavement services.
Okay.
So the recommendation, basically our fees have been looked at and benchmarked against relevant likewise authorities. We feel that we are equal or below local other authorities. We've put an increase again of 3% on across the board. Children's funeral fund has also their fees have also had a 3% increase. So the recommendation is that you accept these fees and charges to be applied from 1st of January 2023, please.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, the only question I've got, and I know I asked this question last year when I did this, there's a lot of the children's funding that's government funded, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, so basically the children's funeral fund, anybody who has a funeral for anybody 18 or under, don't get any charge from us as an authority. We claim that from the children's funeral fund.
Yeah, that's great. Right, that's smashing. Thanks, Sheena, for that. I'll look for the recommendations, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair.
It's staying with you, Sheena, again. We've got item 6, proposed revision policy regarding memorial bench donations on bereavement services sites.
Yes, so historically we haven't had a policy for installation or donation of benches to any bereavement service land. It's been a little bit ad hoc. When people have asked, we've said yes, and we've put benches in. Since the COVID pandemic, we've had an increase in requests for benches. We haven't installed any since the pandemic, during the pandemic, and we've gently told people that we're going to be putting this on hold for the moment till we get a policy in place to make sure that it's fair and equal for all.
Yeah.
We do not have the space, the capacity to put a bench in for everybody at one time. So we'll be looking at maybe communal ones where we buy them donate between them and put 2 plaques on. So we also traditionally have always used wooden benches supplied by a local firm to keep it for sustainability and the carbon footprint is nice and local. We're now looking at introducing the option of having a recycled plastic bench, which again starts with the councils and generally on the carbon neutrality, etc. So basically the recommendations are that we accept the policy, which is where people will donate a bench, and to ensure safety of these benches, because we've never had any way of contacting the donor afterwards, we will put them on a lease basis. Not the bench itself, that will be donated. The plaque on the bench relating to the person that's donated in memory of will be on a lease basis. That will give us the chance then to check safety and ensure more continuity for people. So the recommendation is that the policy is accepted and we introduce it from maybe the new financial year to give us time to be able to contact people and let them know how we're going to be moving forward.
Okay, I know obviously personally in chat that we've got some of the war memorial benches, things like that. Does that go for those sort of things as well?
The war memorial benches are metal based, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
So, but yes, I think we would have to apply it across the board to the ones that are in the cemetery. Obviously, the benches that are in the cemetery at the moment and at Market Crematorium, we will send the terms and conditions to anybody that we've now got if we've got contact
Okay.
details for them.
Smashing.
Otherwise, we will do our best. We just remove them if they're not safe.
Yeah.
And wait, save them and wait for people to contact us. It'll make it a little bit more rigid, it'll give people the security that we're keeping in touch with
Yeah,
them.
you've got a system now that everybody
Yeah.
conforms, and that's it.
Yeah, and you know, with not having this policy before, it's just introducing it. You know, having a bit more security for us and
And
the
donor
donor.
control, yeah, that's smashing, yeah. I'm more than happy to approve that recommendation, please, on item 2.1.
Obviously, the fees that I've put into
Yeah.
this report
Into the appendix. and
will be transferred to the fees and charges report next
Yeah,
year.
that's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant, that's great. Lovely, thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dom.
Chair.
Thank you, Chair.